Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on the Evening Review. My name is Jemima Pierce, your host for this evening. Let's have a look at today's headlines. Welcome back. Now, the Ovaherero Nama genocide of 1904-1908 remains a hot topic. We have in studio today a young person who is a descendant of the Nama Ovaherero genocide of that time. She will be talking to us about a number of issues facing this community, including the reaction from communities to the German reparations package of 18.9 billion. Thank you for joining us, Joyce.
Thank you for having me, Jemima.
Now, Joyce, how does one quantify the lives of people that were lost during that time, the livelihood, the livestock, and the wealth for generations to come?
Well, Jemima, when we look at quantification of this type of losses, these are extreme cases because we are talking about a genocide. It is not a battle or anything. This is a genocide, so it's of a different and a greater magnitude. And that's when we are talking about these sort of crimes. There really is no amount that would quantify because it includes the loss of lives. It includes lands that are now protected by laws that were put in place and all these things. So it's very, very complex. Mm-hmm. But the fact at this point in time is that reparation is compensation for the damages that were done. Mm-hmm. So when you are quantifying these things, you need to look at it from the lens of where would this person be had this damage not been done. Because even in delinquent law is what you look at. You look at it, when you're compensating somebody for harm that you did to them, you want to place them in a place where had this not happened, where would they be? Mm-hmm. Now, when you're quantifying these type of things in negotiations, when I listened this morning to Master Wanguta and them of how they conducted this negotiation process, it not only saddened me, it vexed me because these are academic people. They are educated, they are well-versed, they are supposed to know that they were not supposed to begin this conversation without an actual document. Mm-hmm. Either the Germans were supposed to conduct theirs and the Namibians conduct theirs, and then we start negotiating on that actual document. Because the Germans were very, very good at that time, which is fortunate to us in this case that they were documenting everything. They were documenting everything within the documents that are in their archives and all, even books that they wrote. You knew very well that at this point in time, this is what the Germans has taken from the Ovaherero. And at this point in time, it was this percentage of land that was taken. These things were documented. So actual statements, complex, broad actual statements were supposed to first be conducted, calculated, before the negotiations process was even supposed to start. Mm-hmm. And then both parties agree on, okay, based on these actual statements, we are talking about let's say these amounts are out of this world. Mm-hmm. So where are we willing to compromise? Are we willing to compromise on the land? Are we willing to compromise on then you go from there. Mm-hmm. But then it sort of seems like the Germans came and said, listen, we are giving this amount, take it or leave it, according to Mr. Wanguta's words. And then Mr. Wanguta says, no, but in this whole sort of thing, in this sort of amount that you are giving us, there is no package for land, or there is no amount, or nothing was appropriated for the land, of which the Germans then increased it to 1.1 billion, where they also made a provision for land within this budget. So the very, very first conversation, it was supposed to be two actual statements from the German government, or just one by both of them, that they were supposed to use to base these negotiations on. Because we are talking about 100 years. It's a long time. and a whole lot of things happened because we not only suffered loss or damage from the Germans, the apartheid regime came and sort of exacerbated everything, took the little land that was left, and also we are talking about complexities that could be addressed from a certain point of view only, and definitely not the one which they took now. Yes.
Now, speaking about, you are also part of the OGF, the
Yes.
Ovaherero Genocide Foundation, that is very, very strongly opposed to the 18.9 billion
Yes.
Namibian dollars that Germany is offering. And you believe it is an insult.
Yes.
Why do you think it is an insult?
Okay, maybe let me first just put out this disclaimer that I am not here in the capacity
Yes, of course.
and also not of LPM. So just as a descendant, as a child birth from both the Nama and the Ovaherero descendants, basically, we reject this because they clearly did not, look, when you're talking about reparations, Jemima, it is the principle that matters. It's not the money, the amount, it's the principle that matters. This amount is an insult because, Jemima, even when you look at the commercial agricultural sector of Namibia, it's worth over 30 billion alone. And this is almost the education annual budget. So if you are giving us 18 billion, the Namibian economy is over, is it 164 billion? So,
I can't tell right.
yeah, so if you are giving us, if you are giving us 18 billion, the Namibian government has it. We might as well divert funds from one of these ministries and fix the issues that we have here. And it clearly is not reparations. We are not asking for projects or things. And that is why we are saying it's not about the money. It's the principle. It's not what it is that you are giving us, it's the principle. And this issue, I think, comes and becomes problematic because, and I have to unfortunately say this, look, the person who is at the forefront or that was assigned with this task, Ms. Donata Mvula, with all due respect, when I am talking about reparations, and when somebody else has to talk about reparations, this person has never been to Olombuva Vindimba to go and sit amongst us and sort of observe the environment that is there when we are gathered at that place when our ancestors were being poisoned there as they were running away from the German fire. And this person is not there, or this person will not feel the same sentiments when I am reading about how my great-grandmother was supposed to scar my great-grandfather's head. So was supposed to skin my great-grandfather's head so that these skulls can be taken to Germany to prove the inferiority of the German race. The sentiments will not be the same because it's me that I am talking about. Those people are me. And it is because some of them survived that I am sitting here today. They were supposed, the agenda was to have them exterminated, completely wiped off of the face of the earth, but I am sitting here today. So if you put somebody there who is also taking this thing or approaching this thing from a bilateral point of view, it will not be the same. And somebody that knows what it feels like to be a descendant of a genocide survivor. Somebody was supposed to be put there, a principled person that has studied everything, that has studied the previous models, such as the Jewish model that we are using at this point in time and all that, to understand these issues in their complexities and in all aspects and in all spheres. This can never be a bilateral issue. The bilateral relationship between Germany and Namibia can continue, but it should continue outside the reparations because these are other complexities again that the state alone cannot handle. Yes.
Now, speaking about the package being regarded as an insult, there's also the other issue that Namibian communities believe that the German government's attitude is not showing any sign of remorse.
Yes.
However, there are those who believe that given the fact that the current crop of government officials who had nothing to do with the genocide are willing to talk about this and pay up, that should count for some sense of remorse. What do you make of that?
Well, you see, Jemima, and this is very, very interesting for me because like I said, it's about the principle. And it does not matter who did it or when, because it is the German government. If it was von Trotter himself that was an explorer and came and did this whole thing, it would be different. But it was the German government at that time that did it. But then on our side, the German government did not do it to the Namibian government. It did it to the Herero government and to the Nama government that were established at that time, the structures that were there at that time. Yes. So in this point in time, the German government unfortunately has to be accountable because it was their government that did it at that time. Von Trotter did not come here by his own. Neither did all these other governors that were sent here. They were sent by the German government. So the German government has to be accountable. And they could have solved this issue a long time ago. They were supposed to deal with it a long time ago, even when Namibia became a state. They were supposed to come to our leaders. They were supposed to say, listen, this is what happened. We have to talk about the reparations. So because I remember in 1995, I was not yet born, but in 1995, September in 1995, Chancellor Helmut Kohl came here. And when he came here, Chief Kwaimarirako and his technical team wrote him a document that said, listen, come and let us sit down and talk about the genocide that was committed against these people. But the German ambassadors did not permit that to happen. The Ovaherero Traditional Authority wrote to the German embassy, they wrote to him directly, but the German embassy stopped that thing from happening. And we were told that those things happened a long time ago and can never be categorized as a genocide and all these things, and that is basically what happened. And then he flew back. And then the efforts have been continuously there. The efforts have been there. I remember even in 2002, 2003, when the first case was opened in the United States, but of course it was opened in the wrong court, and then the case was dismissed. But then the efforts have been there continuously. Then we had the one of the ministers that went to Ohamakari to issue an apology, which was also not sufficient, because then it was not followed by the riot pressure proceedings that were supposed to take place after the apology and all that. So the German government is accountable because it was the German government that did it at that time. Whoever is in it today, you committed a genocide. You have to pay for the sins of your fathers.
Now, lastly, obviously there should be the German community living in Namibia.
Yes.
Have been relatively quiet.
Yes.
Do you think they have a duty to raise awareness about Germany having to take account for what has happened 100 years ago?
If I were, now the problem is also, I don't know how well versed they are, because there are a few books that I came across that have distorted that history completely. So I don't know how well versed they are within the issue. First of all, have they accepted that a genocide happened here? Because for them to sort of be in solidarity with us, they should first accept that the genocide happened here. But then what I observed is some sort of anxiety amongst them, that if maybe their properties are at stake, if they have to buy into this thing and all that. So and the fact that they don't necessarily come to us to listen, come and let us sit. What should we do? They have never done that. All they do is just to stay far and aloof, and they are sort of observing where this whole thing is going to go. Now, maybe something that I could say to them is that, look, we are Namibians and we are very peaceful, but we are also descendants of those people that took up arms with no ammunition against the state of Germany. So we want peace to continue prevailing in the country. Come to us, let us sit and let us talk about it. Because at the end of the day, if the German government does not want to listen to us, the affected communities, yes, it is your property that is at stake. Because tomorrow, if the German does not want to, the German government does not want to pay reparations, the affected communities could easily turn against the native Germans that are here, because our lands are here. Our ancestral land and all that is here is not in Germany. So you don't want it to get to that point. So why don't you come to us, let us have a conversation, understand us from our point of view, let us hear your point of view, and let us sit and help us coerce or help us sort of bring the German government to the table with us so that we can sit and talk because it's not between the Namibian government and the German government. It's between us, the affected communities, and we want to resolve this thing peacefully. But we also don't want to be taken for a ride because we are a minority. We are two minority ethnic groups within Namibia, and we don't have absorbing capacity or all these rumors that are running around and whatnot. Look, we are ethnic groups that had structures that have existed for more than 100, 200 years, even before colonialism. So we are well versed. We have educated folks, well-read folks. I mean, I'm here, so we know a thing or two about what we are talking about. So it's best if you come, sit with us, let us talk, and let us understand each other, and let us fix this thing before it gets out of hand. Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us, Joyce.
Thank you, Jemima.
Thank you for joining us. God bless.
The Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair 2021 brings you exhibition excellence and will be taking place from 26 to 31 August at the Ongwediva Trade Fair Showgrounds. The theme this year is Gearing for a Smart Economy. This year, exhibitors have the option to showcase their products and services at the Ongwediva Trade Fair Showgrounds or virtually via a special trade fair website. Apply for a stand at www.oatf.com.na. Call 065 230 191. Email info@oatf.com.na. The Ongwediva Annual Trade Fair 2021 is proudly sponsored by MTC, FNB, Nedbank, Ongwediva Town Council.